Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website by, for, and about baby boomers. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk more about setting our goals for 2023 and beyond. So let's get started. So if you like what you hear tonight, please leave a like and tell your friends. And if you don't, let me know what you'd like, other topics you'd like me to cover. But first, a quick note from my friend. I wanted to go over this in the comments. My friend Naveen wrote me the following comment. Let me put it up so we can see it at the same time. And this had to do with last week's, we were talking about goal settings and setting initial goals. And Naveen said, making a good goal is easy. What's difficult is to be persistent. And so, well, first off, thank you very much for leaving the comment. And because I think it's probably one of those things that a lot of people may share your feelings. And so I'd like to take a moment to answer it. Here at 7 Every Minute, we actually think that making good goals takes a little bit of thought and a little bit of personal honesty, actually. It's not that it's hard, but it does take some quality time to make some quality goals. And really, you can kind of define your life in terms of the questions you ask yourself and the goals that you set for yourself. So, those are both pretty important things. So, you want both of those to be kind of high quality. So, once you get that part done, making some quality goals, then there are techniques that we can show you to make working towards those goals something that you'll naturally want to do, right? Your brain will help you succeed instead of keeping you stuck in a safe past. People think of goals a lot of times, they think of them in terms of resolutions, like, I want to lose weight. But good goals take a little more thought to create and are just the first step in priming your brain to help you succeed. And that's what makes all the difference. We have a course coming up, See Your Future Transformed. And it's a model of transformational coaching that gently guides you through tested methods to train your brain to actively help you attain your goals by envisionment, not persistence or willpower. More on that to come. We're having a new session starting, like I said, in January of 2023. I mentioned it last week, just in time to make our goals for next year. So more on that. But thank you, Naveen, for the question. It's a good question. I think a lot of people have it. And so thanks for asking it, and thanks for allowing me to explain it to you. So first, a quick review from last week. Right. First off, if you recall from last week, and if not, I suggest you take a look at last week's Facebook Live where we go through making SMART goals. Remember, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or reach, stretch goals, and time-based, something with a deadline. And again, we can go through this in more detail than we do in the course, but basically the most important pieces about this are your goal has to include a very specific thing. And that's the problem with like losing weight. Well, okay, what do I mean by losing weight? Do I just want to lose weight, or do I want to lose weight and be more toned? Do I want to be stronger? Am I actually happy with my weight, but I want more muscle and less just flab? What do we mean when we say that? So a very specific goal. It has to be measurable. I want to be able to fit into the pants I wore last year. They're achievable. I want to weigh 4 pounds. Probably not achievable. So it has to be a realistic goal. It can be very much a relevant or reach goal. It can be a stretch goal. It doesn't have to be something simple. It doesn't have to be a guaranteed win. Matter of fact, it's better if it's not, because if you make it a bigger goal, then your mind will be more interested in making it happen. It's kind of like, I bet you I can actually reach that goal. And it has to be time based. It needs a deadline, because if you say, well, I want to get $100 in the bank. Okay, is that before the end of the day, before the end of the week, before the end of the year, over the next 10 years? Makes a huge difference, the whole thing. So SMART goals, again, they have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or reach goals, stretch goals, and time based with a deadline. So for the moment, if you're just starting over and you didn't catch last week's episode, for the moment, just write down everything that comes to your mind in terms of goals, and we'll start to sort things out later. And after a few days, deeper thoughts will start to appear and the real goals will start to become clear. Right. So this is all review from last week. Again, I encourage you to take a look at that. We go into it in more depth. But that brings us to the first fun part, really fun part. I mean, making up goals is kind of fun. But the next part that I think is even more fun is looking at our list of goals and thinking about which ones really matter to us and which ones are just kind of fun to dream up. So one way to kind of start to sort your list out is to use something like Post-it notes, or pick your favorite method. Those I have them all over my world. I just find them really handy. So get some Post-its, maybe in lots of colors if that's what you like to do. And then take a blank sheet of paper or maybe some area on a mirror or a window or on the wall, and just take your first 3 Post-its and write down 3 headings. And the headings are now, soon, and later. So now is in right now, soon is before too long, and later, sometime in the future. Now go back and look at that list of goals you have been writing down starting from last week or starting this week, and write the very first goal on that list onto a Post-it and decide if it's important enough to work on right now, or just pretty soon, or maybe just someday, and put it in that appropriate column. So you have 3 columns. Let's just say you're doing it on a section of the wall, or you have a whiteboard or on a window, and you put up the 3 headings that say now, soon, and later. You take that first goal and you put it into one of those 3 columns. And if you look at it and say, this says vacation, I'd like to take a vacation, but it's not that important to me right now. Maybe at the end of the year, you put it into later. But you look at the next thing, you say, I really want to get started on this. That goes into now. So, keep working through all your goal ideas and sorting them into the 3 columns. But every so often, look at the now and soon columns. And if now has more than 3 or 4 different goals or items in it, pick the top 3 that are most important to you and move the rest to soon. And if soon has more than 4 or 5 items, pick the top 3 or 4 and move the rest to later. And if you do this over a few days and keep looking at your list of goals and envisioning starting to work on only 1 or 2 of them from the now column, do those ones really make you excited? Is it something that really you want to spend time on right now? And if it's not, move that goal to some other priority, maybe just later. Maybe actually once you think about it, it's kind of like, I thought that was really important to me, but now I see it really doesn't matter that much. And what you'll usually find is that pretty quickly, most of your goals will either become simple tasks, clean the kitchen counters, or turn out not to be all that important to you after all. Learn how to make fruitcakes. Always seems important when Christmas comes around, but never seems important even the day after Christmas. But there's still a lot to be learned out of this whole process. Maybe all those cleaning tasks on your list are really a hint that the real goal is declutter my house before the holidays. Now that's an actionable goal. And all those other little tasks become the steps to help you reach your goal. And so once you make a couple of breakthroughs like that, suddenly things that seemed overwhelmingly large and impossible to do have suddenly become attainable and kind of sources of personal energy and satisfaction. So how cool is that? In just a few days, you've not only taken just a mindful of random ideas and sorted them out, but by giving your subconscious a little time to think about it, you've prioritized the ones that really matter to you. So easily, we just went from that scary kind of blank canvas or blank sheet of paper syndrome to having a plan with priorities, a path forward, and we've already started making little steps towards completing a goal. That seemed like a whole lot of progress already, and we've barely even begun yet. So what comes next? Well, now that we've started, we'll naturally want to keep trying to make more goals. But there's probably another step first, really a couple of steps. And next, what we really want to do is go back to our goals and make sure they're big enough. Are they really life transforming? We can almost always do far more than we think we can. And so we can go back and look at our list in terms of how we want our life to be, and not just as this kind of high quality to-do list. Are these goals really moving us towards what we really envision our life to be? But that, dear friends, is for next week. Remember, we're going to take this in little steps so that by the time New Year's comes around, we have a pretty nice set of goals put together in priorities in a way that we're going to help our mind help us make those goals a reality. Excuse me. So if you haven't done so already, for this week, I would encourage you to go back to listen to last week's live about setting SMART goals and how to write them down. And then on the cover of your notebook or on the first page, boldly write your description statement to yourself. John's life roadmap for 2023, or Mary's new life for my 67th year. Because you're asking your inner self what you really want to do for the next year. And that's a pretty important decision. So make a great big deal out of it. And then listen again to this week's broadcast and start sorting out your goals and that whole jumble of ideas that you wrote down into 3 categories: now, soon, and later. And then start envisioning if those goals are really life transforming or not. And if not, keep asking yourself what you want to attain until the really important goals and ideas start to become obvious. We'll be talking more about this in our See Your Future Transform course coming up in January, which covers the whole process in a lot more detail. More on that to be coming. But that's it for the evening. Please remember the war in the Ukraine. It's still going on. Winter is there. Things are really bad. Think how uncomfortable it is if you happen to live in any of the northern parts of the US or in Canada or something like that. It's starting to get cold. Well, they're in the same sort of latitude. Same things are happening there. Again, if you don't feel comfortable being more proactive in your support, there's a lot of humanitarian links on the page ukr7.com, including the link to World Central Kitchen, which we've talked about a few weeks back. That's wck.org. I still have that over in the list, wck.org. That list is also on the page ukr7.com. Either way, real good people, doing real good things, helping people in humanitarian ways. Please keep that in mind, especially for the holidays. Remember, one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. So if you can and you're able, please check it out at ukr7.com. So thank you for stopping by. If you found something interesting or useful, please pass it along and please hit that like button. And if not, please drop me a comment as to what you'd like to hear. Have a great week and remember to live the life that you dreamed of, because that's the path to true contentment. Love and encouragement to everyone. See you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. Thank you so much.